Rita, whenever you tell me we're ready. Are we good? Let me, we good, Renee?
We're good.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Please rise, pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein, here. Mayor Morgan,
Here.
also present, the town manager, Greg Dunham, and the assistant town attorney, Edward Nazaro, and Chief Allen, the police chief, and myself, and let the record show that Mrs. White is absent with notice.
Thank you very much. We've been presented with the minutes from our February 11 meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, or comments?
Nope.
Not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes from the last commission meeting.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Chairman? Excuse me. Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Rita, you want some water?
I have some back,
Okay.
Okay, very good.
just in case.
I don't believe there are any changes to the agenda. However, I'll just make a note. We do have a special meeting at the conclusion of the regular commission meeting today. Our next meeting is April 8th at 9 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. Public comment. Anyone wish to speak? Mr. Gainer.
Yes,
Good morning.
good morning to you all. I just wanted to commend the mayor and anyone else that contributed to the posting that you sent to the public recently on what's going on. I realize after, particularly as we have so many new people in town, that people don't know what's going on. And I thought that was well written and comprehensive and helpful. However, the bridge, the George Bush Bridge situation, as I talk to people in town, they say, what the hell's going on? And I think there was an article in today's paper, in the Palm Beach Post, about the construction, which sounds pretty damn scary. The Post, and I assume it's accurate, doesn't know, and no one knows when it's going to be fixed. And if you have to get to a hospital or something like that, it's not a good idea. As you know, the coalition is starting our 15th year in a couple of days, actually. And we plan on a pretty comprehensive effort to figure out some of the issues that we all share on the barrier island with respect to traffic and other issues. But traffic is, we did a survey and most of our members feel that traffic is high on their list of things to worry about, and compounded by the fact that the bridge doesn't open and what happens if another bridge goes. We think that we can best use our time to start thinking about issues that relate to all the barrier island communities as opposed to one by one. I mean, obviously you all are well aware of what's happening here in town, but not necessarily what's happening in Briney or what's happening in Ocean Ridge with respect to traffic, as an example. So that's going to be on our docket for the upcoming year. And I think that to all intents and purposes, you probably should send out another letter telling town people what we know and what we don't know about the situation at George Bush. I mean, it's catastrophic for some people. And this article does mention that people want to go to the beach. They can't get over so they got to go all the way to Woolbright. And if you're on a bicycle or walking, that's not very convenient. So we're facing potentially a crisis with respect to our bridges. And we've grown so fast, and we are growing even faster now than we were 5 years ago, that this little community is potentially going to suffer some consequences that aren't going to be very pleasant. So it's something, as you think about your 5-year plan and all that, the coalition will work as best we can to coordinate with other communities to see whether or not there aren't some things that we can do together. But we got to do something. I couldn't get out of my driveway this morning. There's just solid cars coming out on A1A. So anyway, but
May I make a comment?
yes, of course.
And I agree with everything you say. We can thank, I guess, the Boynton Beach City Council for our traffic problems trying just to get to the Woolbright Federal intersection. And I don't mind saying that. In Palm Beach Gardens, with the big developments that happened there, it was not unusual for the applicant's traffic engineer to come in and build a building like that and convince the city council that they were going to reduce traffic by building that. And so I'm sure the same thing happened there. I wasn't even here at that time. Now, with respect to the bridge, on the short term, we contacted Hasley in here. So we contacted the Delray Beach Communications, which is they're our dispatchers, and they didn't even know about the bridge at the time. So it is the jurisdiction of Palm Beach County, as we all know. So we're relying on information that we're getting from Palm Beach County, and they post it pretty much every day on their website, and it's the same. Now, again, that's short term, but I know you're talking about long term, and I totally agree with you.
We are definitely looking 5 years out, not
Right.
tomorrow.
Sure.
But if you don't start looking soon, 5 years can go pretty fast.
Oh, I know, and I'm a good example. When I've been here 5 years, when I first got here, I'd zip out of here and I'd be over the Woolbright Bridge and home in 10 minutes. But it takes me 10 minutes just to get to Federal now, from here. So I totally agree.
Well, I without accusing anybody of anything, so much is going on so quickly in Boynton now, and with the Woolbright Bridge is our main way to get out of town. It is intolerable. I waited for 2 bridge openings. I couldn't even get, and I was parked almost down here. I couldn't even get up. So we're gonna, there's little what we can actually do, but whatever we do ought to be aimed at making the roads as efficient as they possibly can be.
Thank you, Bob. Good to see you. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, let's move on to our public hearing. Any ex parte communications on the application today for 225 North County Road?
Yes,
You'll probably be recusing anything.
I'm recusing myself for conflict of interest.
I didn't know if you were, but I just assumed. Okay. Who's going to speak on this application?
I'll be speaking, Gregory Jones.
Okay. And, Mr. Bodker, would you please stand and take an oath? It's hard to see everybody.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Make sure that she has your names. I think she does.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gregory Jones. I'm the president of Gregory Jones Architecture. I will be presenting the proposed project for Olivia Lyons and David Indris, located at 425 North County Road. I'll be joined today with Gary Jones from my firm and landscape architect Dave Bodker. Dave will be presenting the landscape architecture components of the project. Our first slide, as you see, is an artist rendering of the completed building with landscape in place. The proposed project was designed to be consistent with the style of the preferred style Gulfstream Bermuda that's prevalent in the area. The surrounding residences and utilize the use of symmetry, smooth stucco, decorative shutters, truss tail outlookers, and flat cement tile, which are materials found consistently within the area. Our next graphic, we have a locator map. I'm sure you're all familiar with the property. Has been raised, it's been cleared and leveled and ready for construction. It is, again, right up the road, a couple of houses, or a couple of lots north of us. The next couple of slides, we have the survey, again, which shows we have 2 trees in the back, which Dave Bodker will talk about how they're being addressed. They've already been addressed with the adjacent neighbors. And our next 3 slides are going to be visuals of the subject property that's on the right, or as it was when it had mature landscaping around it. Now it's been raised. The property to the left, and then we're going to have the next 2 slides are going to be properties that are across the street or adjacent to the south. As you can see, there's a mix of 1- and 2-story existing residences. They have deep overgrowth of botanicals, and the visuals of the houses are pretty well shielded from the street and all neighbors. Our thoughts when we get to landscape architecture portion is to celebrate the style of the house as opposed to hide it, but certainly give it shielding from its neighbors to both sides and to the rear. There's the last slides of the adjacent properties. There is also another 2-story property a little bit further to the south on the east side of North County, and it has a massing profile similar to the one that we're proposing on the Lyons Indris residence. So there is precedent set. Our next slide is the site plan that is proposed. We have a 2-story structure. It was designed following the Gulfstream design manual, which was closely followed and adhered to during the design phase of the project. The proposed residence has incorporated good design practices and shall contribute to the image of the town as a place of beauty, charm, and high quality. The structure, while adhering to the restrictions and guidelines, shall retain an identity unto itself and have distinction from surrounding residences within 250 feet of its location. In other words, it will not be a cookie cutter look of any adjacent property. It will have its own identity while following the restrictions and guidelines that you set forth in Gulfstream.
How is it different from the other home that you mentioned a few minutes ago?
The other one has a carport structure in the front, which adds a distinctly different flavor to it. We also have a different color scheme, and the one area where it matches up reasonably well with is the wedding cake approach, which is basically what the design manual says we need to do in a 2-story residence. So when we wedding cake, you have 1st story, 2nd story is brought in. It tends to reduce the scale of the project so that as human passerbys are going past the property, they will not be overwhelmed on the street side by the elevation. So it not only steps back from the sides, it steps back from the back and the front, which is referred to as a wedding cake, and that's what it shares with the property that's down the road. Our color schemes, which are the field color is Chantilly lace white, and the client picked out a beautiful New York State of Mind blue for the shutters. It's gotten very favorable reviews from anyone that's seen the rendering, and I think that the rendering company that produced this for us did a real bang up job in following what Dave Bodker was looking for landscape wise, all the way down to the Vietnamese snow pebbles for the drive in the front. Excuse me. We have a lap pool proposed in the back. The setbacks on the property were as provided for in the special exemptions 7075, which allows special exemptions for setbacks that are allowed on properties that are 100 feet or less in depth. That included a 25-foot front setback, 10 feet to the sides, and 10 feet to the rear pool, or to the pool. Our rear house, the rear of our house, is significantly further back than what's dictated in the Gulfstream design manual. All of the components that I was discussing regarding the design manual have been shown in a tabulation chart here. I know it would take some time to go through it, but it basically shows the RPP and my friend Rita here that we followed closely, if not exceeded the restrictions called for in the design manual. As far as lot coverage, square footage of house, landscape coverage, and setbacks and heights of the project. The structure itself, and here is the architectural CAD drawing. As you can see, it's not embellished with the landscaping, and it's a little bit easier to focus in on each particular face of the building. This is the front face, which shows the strong use of symmetry, specifically with the windows, the entry portal being at the center, and the materials are called out on those particular elevations, which coincide with what you see in the artist rendering. The bottom rendering is to the right side elevation. As you can see, the colonial moles in the windows, which are highly suggested in our design review critiques with the Gulfstream, have been carried out through the majority of the windows. We'll see a picture here now of the rear elevation. As you can see, we're also heavy into play with the symmetry, the window moles, and we have a pleasing stepping up of the house. So you're not hit with a two-story wall. You gradually rise up to the center portion. The floor plans, which I'm sure people are eager to see, but it's not as big a component because unless you're walking in the house, you won't be able to see it, and you certainly won't be able to see it in a bird's eye view as this. This gives you a little bit of an idea of the breakdown of the various rooms. We've got a 3-bedroom project that has an office up front. It's an open plan, and we did have input from the client's architect up in Brooklyn, up in New York. Of course, we went through the design manual very, very closely, very tenuously, and it was, I think the response from the other architect was, have you read this 89-page manual? This is crazy. You guys actually have to do this down in Florida? And I said, well, yeah, we kind of like to have a good handle of what's being put up. And it's not going to be, especially in Gulfstream, it's not a mishmash of looks and ideas. It's more of a comprehensive and one that relates to existing structures and or what the vicinity would like to look like in the future as future development goes on. Second story shows these 3 secondary bedrooms upstairs. The design is meant to be comfortable, not outlandish. We don't have anything cantilevering or overhanging at any location, as we will in some of our more contemporary residences that we're doing in other parts of Florida. This was definitely one that fit the Gulfstream Bermuda style. I'm now going to hand the presentation over to Mr. Dave Bodker, who's going to be able to go over the landscape portions, and he'll be also be able to answer questions regarding the drawings.
Good morning. Dave Bodker, 601 North Congress Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida. Let me see if I can push that back a little bit here. Sure. See if I do this, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Within the center island right here, we're proposing native thatch palms. So it's kind of a skinny trunk thing. We don't want to obscure the house to kind of provide a feature in the center island. On either side of the front yard, we have silver buttonwood trees and a clusia hedge on either side of that. And then the silver buttonwood trees will be underplanted with Green Island ficus ground cover. Flanking the house are foxtail palms. So there's one here and one here. There's a Bougainvillea standard closer to the walkway as an accent plant. And Hawaiian ties on either side of these foxtail palms. Across the front of the house, the foundation planting is variegated ginger lily. And liriaceae in here. The north side of the house has areca palms to separate the north property from this and give privacy. In either corner of the backyard, in the northeast and the southeast corner, are foxtail palms as well. So there's one here and one here. And there's more areca palms that go across the back to screen the multifamily project that exists there now. Along the south property line, there's some more areca palms in this area, but then we have some existing Christmas palms that we want to leave here. This room here has lots of windows and a porch, so this would be from the south where the major light comes into the house along the south. So here are the elevations, the front elevation here with the foxtail palms flanking the house, or framing the house, silver buttonwood trees here and here. The south elevation shows the clusia hedge going here, the arecas to screen the backyard from the neighbors, and then the existing and relocated Christmas palms here and here on the south property. You can see a little bit of the silver buttonwood trees in the front. The east elevation is pretty well obscured from the neighbors to the east. So that's what you would see from the east property looking back at this house. And then the north elevation has areca palms all along it here. Again, the front yard, the silver buttonwood trees right in here, and the foxtail palms in the back corners of the property. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions on landscaping? Thank you, Dave.
Got all these.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Do you want to just mention the removal of the two trees, just so the commissioners are aware of what we're asking for the
Yeah, the desire is to remove two existing ficus trees in the southeast and northeast corners of the property. I think all neighbors have agreed that this is a good thing to happen there.
to be replaced with foxtail palms. They're undergrowth and the root system is growing into the neighbors.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because those are two very prominent trees and we try to protect those trees, particularly where they would be blocking the view from the neighbor to behind this home. So what is the rationale for removing those trees?
They've become increasingly overgrown. The construction units behind us on the east side, Dave, I don't know what that address is. Kevin Anderson's our neighbor in the back. We've spoken to them and to the of that complex. They've caused real havoc with growing into their existing walls. The house to the north and the house to the south of us also are having problems with, the root system is incredibly invasive. If we keep them, we have to dig down and build a root. Well, Dave, you can speak.
Yeah, they're strangler figs, so obviously the roots are very aggressive in attacking the walls and what other structures are in place there, fences and so forth.
And so you would be replacing them or re-landscaping that
We
those
want
two
to remove
sections?
those and then we'll put the foxtail palms in their place in either corner and an areca palm hedge all the way across the back of the property there.
Okay, and I understand the neighbors are all in agreement with their removal.
It seems so, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you for
Sorry.
bringing that up.
I'm sure that we're-
Good point.
And Mayor, those arecas are going to provide much more buffering than is there at this point.
Yeah, when you stand on this lot and you look to the east there, you can see the upper balcony of that, I don't know if it's a condo project there or townhomes.
Right. Very good. Other questions? Questions on the home? Yeah, I'd just like to say that this is an interesting comparison to what we had last month. Last month, we debated large homes on large lots and special exceptions. Interestingly, this month, we have a small lot. And what is the interest of the town in developing, particularly on North County Road, small lots? We don't want too small of homes. But there's an interest for the town in maintaining a certain architectural integrity. And I think that's what you are attempting to do. That is put a more spacious home on what is a compromised small lot. And so it justifies the need for the special exceptions that you have requested here, which are setback changes. So I just want everyone to know that we're trying to balance the need for attractive homes, contemporary homes on small lots by allowing special exceptions, whereas on the other hand, with large homes on larger lots, we may not be quite as forgiving. Any other questions? If not, other motions?
We have several.
Tom, you're always good.
Yeah, we got it. We've got,
So we've got several motions here due to the special exceptions. So this is approval of the application 22-2. The first motion is approval of a special exception to allow front setback of 25 feet as provided in section 7075I of the code.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Second motion is a special exception to allow each side setback of the principal building to be 10 feet and the rear setback to be 17 feet 8 inches as provided in section 7075E.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Third motion is a special exception to allow a rear setback for a minor accessory structure as a pool to be 10 feet as provided in section 7075E.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
The fourth motion is a special exception to allow up to 2,500 square feet of floor area on lots less than 7,576 square feet as provided in section 70-72A of the code.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Fifth motion is approval of a permit and level 3 architectural site plan to construct a single family 2-story dwelling, 2,498 square feet, Gulfstream Bermuda style with a swimming pool.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate the thorough presentation. All right, let's move on to,
Nice looking house.
it is.
It really is. Looks like it. Special exceptions well deserved.
Ordinance 22/1 is one that we considered last time. Ms. Taylor brought those on second reading.
An ordinance to Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning, Article 5 site plans, Division 2 architectural site plan review levels 1, 2, and 3, Section 66, 141 applicability to require applications within the 50-foot North Ocean Boulevard overlay district and protects that, makes certain make certain changes which are significantly different to receive level 2 architectural site plan review, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. And this passed first reading the 11th of February, 2022, and is presented today for a second and final reading on this day's 11th day of March, 2022.
Thank you very much. Ordinance 22/1 has been read to us. The second reading is our motion to approve.
I'll move to approve ordinance 22-1.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
You're gonna ask me.
Oh, that's right. He's back.
Welcome home.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
So quiet sitting.
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
I didn't even catch it either.
It's so unusual for me to be
Really?
quiet. You just didn't know I was
Only
here.
need
Well, you said that.
3 out of 5. We're good. 3 out of 4.
All right, ordinance 22/2 is also brought forward on second reading. Ms. Taylor?
This is an ordinance of the Town Commission, the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning, Article 5 site plans, Division 2 architectural site plan review, levels 1, 2, and 3, Section 66-144 standards to include standards for level 2 and 3 architectural site plan review, which prohibit excessively dissimilar structures, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This was presented and adopted on first reading on the 11th of February, 2022, and is presented today for final reading on this 11th day of March, 2022.
Thank you. Ordinance 22/2 has been brought for second reading. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve ordinance 22-2.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Next is ordinance 22/3. Mr. Nazaro, would you just touch on it?
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance 22/3 is presented first reading and amends the code to codify the current informal policy that landscape maintenance companies haul away the yard waste generated by the work they do instead of leaving it in the street for eventual bulk pickup. It also prohibits residents from placing the same piles or other bulk items on the street until the day before the scheduled bulk pickup. This issue was discussed last month and is being brought to you today for first reading.
Thank you very much. First reading, Ms. Taylor.
This is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, Palm Beach County, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 22 nuisances, Article 1 in general, Section 22-1 litter to prohibit the placement of bulk or vegetative debris for collection except for 24 hours prior to pickup, and to require vegetative debris incident to lawn maintenance be removed the same day it is created or accumulated, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is presented for first reading this 11th day of March, 2022.
Thank you. Ordinance 22/3 has been brought to us on first reading. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve ordinance 22-3.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Ordinance 22/4 is going to be brought for first reading. Mr. Nazaro?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 22/4 amends the code to regulate lighting by lumens instead of watts. The code is currently written did not contemplate the advances of LED lights, which are capable of producing significantly more light than conventional incandescent bulbs while using the same amount of energy. This is an update to the code the staff has discussed periodically over the last few years and bring it up to you for first reading. In determining the figures as far as what's an incandescent watt equivalent to a lumen. I looked at government websites and also looked on like your Home Depot and Lowe's images of actual lights that are being sold that say this is equivalent to get a very good idea of just keeping the standards within the code as far as the brightness. And so this is really just a change that it's really just an update and not a change. It's just really making sure that we can continue to enforce the standards that we have in place.
And we may see how it goes. We've talked about this. LED lights are exceedingly bright. And so while we're matching the wattage in our current code, I think we should keep an open mind, see how it goes. As our homes get larger and involve more lighting, these lumens could be pretty bright, or maybe not. I don't know.
You know, they are very bright. I don't think you were here. I think it was Bill Thrasher was here, but when the new house was built, like catty corner to me, I mean, they had it lit up like it was unbelievable. I mean, just came right into my, and I that close.
Right.
And they were very kind. They turned it down.
Right.
But it is so bright. It looks like the runway of a airport.
Yeah.
It's really terrible.
I'd like to make a comment. I put in some new lighting in the interior of our kitchen,
Mhm.
and I was amazed by, and I also had some exterior lights. And I looked at it and I said, this can't be right.
Yeah.
And
Because it was so bright.
it was so bright. I mean, I thought I was at a prison. I mean, it was awful. So I had it taken down. But what I learned was it's just not the looms and wattage, it's also the tone. So the color
The cool warm.
is so white.
Yes.
And so maybe at some point we need to look at not only the looms and wattage, but the actual, I forget what the term is.
It's cold, cool tone, warm tone.
Yeah, and-
Yeah, it's
and-
a tone of like bright, bright,
And that can make a
a big difference. That's a good point.
It is. And what's a particular concern is as the homes become larger, they have more lights. And it could become a problem. So I don't know how we want to address this. I think what you've done here is great. We're matching the existing code's wattage, and light bulbs will say these lumens equal that wattage.
Well,
But there seems to be more to it than that.
are you all finding that the lights are on all night? I mean, I'm finding that most of these systems, my house, the lights just turn off at, sometime between 9:45 and 10:30. And then after that, it's either one or two lights or a motion light.
Well, that's a good point.
I mean,
There's
where are we on that?
been a couple of houses in particular that leave the lights on all night.
Can I say something? I just
Go ahead.
redid my outside lighting, and when the guy came in to do it, they do a lot of houses in Gulfstream. I've seen their truck everywhere.
Mhm.
They recommend you leave it on all night till dawn for security. I tried it one night, and I go, no, this is gonna work. So it's off at like 10:30, 11, mine's 11 o'clock.
Right.
But they are recommending you leave it on all night. So that might be something to address too, because if the resident doesn't know, I mean, to me, I kept looking, and I could see lights on. But I'm just saying it's a recommendation from them.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
people not knowing, and I'm not saying, and you're doing something new, you just
Well,
go with what they're saying.
Yeah, the two people that I've talked to are dealing with houses that have put new lighting in. And in both cases, they're right across the waterway from them. And so I went over one evening and looked at one house had put in, redid their whole pool and deck area. So they had the step lighting and so when they put it in, they were all LED. Well, they put it in at the highest, point. And so I just got a hold of the contractor and he realized that that's what he had done. So they turned him down and it solved the problem.
I think that we sort of have maybe an opportunity to take a comprehensive look at this whole thing, the placement of lights, the number of lights. I mean, some of them look like a Christmas tree and, you know, the lighting should be subtle. Obviously for safety, that's a whole different subject that we have to look at. I mean, I don't know whether, for one, I would want to say that somebody couldn't have their lights on 20, you know, in the evening if they think that's for security. On the other hand, I guess motion detectors would accomplish the same thing. So I just think there's a lot to look at, and I always felt that we needed to sort of step back and look at that whole subject.
Do they have it at the Hamptons? They have regulations on
Good question.
traffic lights?
I don't know.
We
I'm
do
glad
up
you
in
asked, 'cause
North Carolina, we do.
I've had a problem with one neighbor decided that he wanted to have a runway in the back of his house. It happens at the back of my property. So I knocked on the door and they were very nice. They turned it down. But in any case, I'll find out.
But I don't think we should rely on the neighbor being really nice because sometimes.
Oh, no, I'm not.
No, I agree. We've been lucky so far
Right.
because this house, and he wasn't directly across from me, but I'm some of the smaller coves and they do what you said.
Well-
I mean,
One of the houses that I responded to made the mistake of asking that neighbor to turn their lighting down.
yeah,
It got brighter.
they go away.
It got brighter,
Yeah, well, you
but
know,
it was a certain. anyway.
sometimes it
guess what
doesn't,
that is.
I mean, most people are nice, but sometimes it doesn't work out.
No, we have to address it.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, the tone of the light.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
we don't address that here. And clearly that's going to be important. Interestingly, these concerns have come up since people are putting LED lights. I don't
Right.
remember a lot of complaints.
No, I mean, and again, the ones that I've gotten are all new lighting.
Right. So there's something about these LEDs that is brighter and can be more.
Yeah, some of the products, the products change every 90 days now, but you can flip it. The interior lights, you can change the color for like an office. They don't have as many options outside. We probably should just have a couple of lighting people come in and make a presentation.
Could do that, but the other point that you made, somebody made about keeping the lights on all night or turning them down, I think is something that we might need to explore also.
You know what, I'll ask the chief because the lighting people say leave them on all night.
Right.
But is it really a security? I mean, do you like having all the
It
lights on?
definitely is a sense of security, yeah.
Yeah, because it would be a problem if you lived right across from some of these lights to have these lights
Well,
glaring in
yeah.
at your
Yeah,
house.
they wouldn't have to be full bright though for security, but
Yeah.
just lighting in general, having some kind of light is.
I
Do you really need the lighting?
think there's a threshold
Police
in there that we could
Yeah.
maintain and still have reasonable security,
Well, yeah, you don't need to have.
And, you know, it's also to the direction of the cone of light. You know, some of them sort of,
Yeah.
they light up the neighbors.
Mhm.
That's not the point. The point should be, it should be lighting up the side of the house so it attracts people from doing something they shouldn't be doing.
And our codes
You have
do
landscape
address that.
lighting.
Our codes do address that.
You have dock lighting that needs to be on later.
So
Boats coming. And then you have the house lighting. And then they have different types of house lighting. You got flood,
Well,
and then you have
it's-
the ones
it's-
on the home itself, just for.
It's the direction that those lights are aiming. I mean, if you start up here and it's pointed down, sometimes those things they're not pointed down and they're pointed out.
Right.
The uplighting isn't as much of a problem.
Right.
Than the ones that are located like under the roof. So.
it's a big,
I'd like to kind of keep this open so that we can modify it, but I like having it like a zoning in progress so that at least the town has something to work with constructively and numerically in terms of the lighting. But I think we need to address this a little more thoroughly. I think Tom's suggestion of maybe getting some light people in here
Yeah.
who have experience in this and understand LEDs.
And we've often piggybacked on what other towns do, including maybe Palm Beach. I'm curious what they would do.
We've looked into that, haven't you? Trey?
They, I forget exactly what they did. I don't know if they have an updated code that regulates lumens, but I mean, our code is also very comprehensive. You can't illuminate the whole facade. You can't have wall lighting in the front. You know, you can light down from, you know, it's fairly comprehensive as far as what you can and can't do. Maybe the number of lights, the tone, and the duration that it's on is
Right.
something that, some things that we need to look
Well,
at.
how can we proceed with giving you the numerical guidance that your proposal includes, but leave it open for further?
I mean, we can always adopt this and we can continue working at the same time with modifying a different section of the code, whether it's within the lighting or nuisance or whatever section we choose based on sort of where those discussions go.
Okay, so we'll just proceed with this as it is, and we can modify it as we get more information.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 22/4 is presented for first reading. Ms. Taylor?
An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning, Article 8 supplementary district regulations, Division 2 accessory structures and recreational facilities, Section 66-369 docks, and Chapter 70 Gulfstream Design Manual, Article 5 statewide or area-wide standards, Division 4 general outdoor lighting standards, Section 70-169 standards, to update the town code to refer to the measurement of brightness using lumens instead of the outdated standard of watts, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for codification, and providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is being presented on first reading, the 11th day of March, 2022.
Thank you. Ordinance 22/4 has been brought to us for first reading. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve ordinance number 22-4.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rothwine?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Christina, is Ocean Ridge addressing lumens?
We, not, well, two things. One piece of ordinance that we have has to do with how far your lights can project off of your impact. So that sounds like you might have
Yes.
something similar, but there is, I think it's a 20-foot thing, so you can't go beyond that, whether it's bright light, weak light, any type of light. We do encourage our residents to keep our lights on, so we have dealt with that. And we haven't dealt with the lumens yet, but I will tell you, FPNL came and asked to change out some of our lights to save us money in the town with LED. And I really felt very poorly for the gentleman who came out with for money to do it.
Right.
Because it turned out that it really wouldn't save us money because the type of lighting that they had to put in for a lot of our neighborhoods for Turtle, because we're right there on the beach, would have actually ended up costing us money. So he packed his lunch and he went home nicely. So
I have a question for you. How do you enforce the spillage part of
it
your?
is usually by one neighbor complaining about it.
Well, I understand, but
We have a dedicated officer for code enforcement.
but I still have the question, is he trained to determine if that light spillage is violating the code?
It is kind of like the noise ordinance.
I know.
Walk around with a decibel meter is really, a judgment, but usually, a letter and then a nice knock on the door.
Right.
Satisfies. But
It's very
the
difficult to
biggest
enforce.
issue is really the lighting across from the water.
Right.
Right.
Like you guys, we have a lot of canals and bigger stuff. So it's really, that's where the most intrusive complaints have come.
Right.
And people don't even realize that they've got the blue light on, and they're, they don't realize across the waterway.
Yeah.
It really is the waterway that this is most
Right.
objectionable. You don't really hear complaints in the
Right.
town.
That's where our complaints have come from.
We have started to ask for during our site plan review process
where the exterior lighting is going to be, though.
Okay.
Good idea.
All right, good. Thank you, Christine. All right, let's move on to it. We have a resolution. Mr. Nazaro, or
This is simply a resolution recognizing the anniversary of the Florida Association of City Clerks and to honor that achievement.
very good. Well worth it. Ms. Taylor, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution of the Town Commission, Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Florida Association of City Clerks, FACC, and honoring this achievement. And it's being presented this 11th day of March, 2022.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve resolution 22-1?
Move to approve resolution 22-1.
Second. Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. All right, let's move on. Town manager reports, Mr. Dunn.
Yes, you can see I only have one item on there, and you know which one that is. On the undergrounding, but it's actually good news because the contractor has started on Gulfview. In fact, I saw one of the trucks go by during the meeting, and so they've begun to remove the poles and the FP&L equipment that's on the poles. So.
Terrific. Good news.
Good.
It's very good news.
All right.
Did you see the trucks? Did you see them?
Oh, yeah, they've been here for about 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, the FTD meeting is March 24th at 8:30 for anyone who wishes to attend. Finance report, Mr. Dunn.
Yes, sir. Your report represents 41% of our budget. And I would point out that our expenses at this point in time are at 33%. So we're
Very good.
doing well.
Are we gonna be ahead of budget then?
Well, my CFO is saying no.
That was a tough question.
But
May I make a few comments?
Sure.
One, Rebecca, thank you for, giving these highlights every month. It's helpful. It's kind of poetic that the final payment on the undergrounding loan is happening.
Couldn't have timed it better.
Yeah. Well planned. And then in the fund, the undergrounding fund balance, there's a few 100,000 left. I assume that's just going to be all consumed.
You're looking in the wrong direction.
Does that?
Yes, the last payment on the loan will take the majority of that. And my hopes are that we can actually take some of that money and repay some of the general fund, some of the funds that we had loaned or give it.
So if there's any excess, it's not going back to the residents.
No. because
I mean, that was sort of a rhetorical point too, but, and then on the budget, you said you're starting it for 2023. I'm not sure why I'm saying this, it's obvious, but it's going to be a tough year to budget.
Yes,
Because of, so we're going to have to figure out some creative ways to manage increasing labor and raw material costs. So the budgeting process can be a little more difficult this year.
Mind you, we have already started talking about that.
Right. So in any case, just.
No, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Chief, report.
Yes, we request that the activity report be accepted as submitted. There's one line item I just want to explain there. It's the one that says Grand Theft Motor Vehicle. That again is a recovered vehicle, not a stolen vehicle. And that particular vehicle was a silver Porsche that was taken in 2020, actually out of the 4,000 block up here on North Ocean. It was located in Houston, Texas. It now was black in color and has a VIN plate changed in it.
And now it's a
The color
BMW.
change they did with a vinyl wrap over the car.
I put the vinyl wrap on it.
Yep. So it's quite interesting how they're coming, what they're
So
doing.
what happens with the vehicle?
It'll go back to the insurance company.
That they paid out on
Yeah,
the
because it's
lawsuit?
already long-term paid out for this one.
What chip did they use to track it if it had no VIN?
Yeah, well, they changed the whole plate, put it on, in all.
So how'd they determine it was the car? Was there a
Well,
chip or something in it?
There's hidden plates.
IP address, it didn't.
There was some what? Hidden what?
There's hidden VIN plates on all your cars.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Interesting. Thank you, Chief. All right, let's move on to items for commission action. We have the police communications agreement, Mr. Dunn.
I can take that.
Yeah, I'll let Trey take that
Thank
one.
you, Mr. Manager. In a recent FDLE audit of the city of Delray Beach, the city was told they were required to put language into their dispatch contracts, like this one with Gulfstream, to include certain references to policies to secure sensitive criminal justice information. I spoke with Captain Hasley about these changes, and he said we are already operating consistent with these policies. So this is just kind of a housekeeping thing. This contract will expire at the end of this fiscal year. So we will have, contract renewal coming up within the next few months, but they were requested by the FTLE to do this immediately. So we put it on the agenda for you.
All right, very good. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the adopting the amendment number 1 to the police communications agreement?
Motion to approve amendment number 1 to the police communications agreement as presented.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
And Delray is very interested in getting that. So we need to make sure that you
Yeah.
sign it at the end of the meeting.
Be sure to sign it. Any comments by the commissioners? If not, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned. And we now are going to move on to our special meeting. Do we stay here? We stay here. Anybody need to take a break? Nope. Okay, very good. Let's call this meeting to order. Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll of the Town of Gulfstream Special Town Commission meeting?
Commissioner Lyons,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Here.
Commissioner Orthwyne. Here. Mayor Morgan.
Here. Pursuant to section 447.605(1) Florida statutes, a closed meeting is being held between the chief executive officer of the town, its representatives, and the legislative body, that is the members of the town commission, relative to collective bargaining in accordance with Florida law. This meeting shall be closed as it is exempt from the provisions of section 286.011. So I would ask anyone not participating in this meeting to please leave the room.
Before you leave, at the end of this, we'll do the signatures.
I could do it right now if you'd like.
We got lots of them.
Well, then we'll do it later. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
How you doing?
I don't know that we've met. I've talked on the phone.
I'm sorry.
Correct.
It's Mr. Jeff Peterson.
Yeah,